Hi, my name's Josh Schmucker, and I've been going to First Christian Church for about 10 to 12 years, I want to say. Our family has attended here. Didn't start out as a journey that I was planning on going on, but most of life never really does. As most of you know, I am in recovery from excessive alcohol use 6 years, a couple of Sundays ago. But the part of the story that you might not know is how we've got from being in the depths of despair to the person that you see before you. At one point in my life, I was homeless with nothing but a backpack and a sleeping bag in the middle of February, which if some of you have lived in this area for any length of time know that it is not warm. And the thought going through your mind of how I got from being this larger-than-life radio personality in town to being in the pits of despair and having nothing but a sleeping bag and nobody even offering a couch for you to sleep on for a night is incredibly hard to wrap one's brain around. You ask yourself the question, God, I know you're there, but where are you at? You're so trapped in addiction that it's almost like being in a prison. You're within these four walls, so to speak, and those four walls are more of like a pit. I mean, my story is probably different than most because my faith has been pretty solid since about the second grade. Even on my darkest days, I would stumble into the four walls of this building, most of the time probably not in all that great of shape, but I made it. But at the same point in time, I was unwilling to relinquish that control and that full surrender that God asks of all of us. Some of you may remember me from the WRSW days and being the jelly man, being unwilling to relinquish control of that former life to gain the life that God had for me was anything but easy. I mean, I almost felt a little bit maybe like Jonah did, where he wanted to do it his way, and he tried very hard to do it his way, but failed miserably and wound up in the belly of a whale. I didn't end up in the belly of a whale per se, but I ended up in the belly of a bottle and just buried in addiction, trying to run from the person God created me to be. I mean, it has to be less of me and more of Him every single day. That previous life, while I am reminded of it constantly, it no longer exists in Christ's eyes. And to remind myself of that every single day, it's a huge blessing and a huge weight off of my shoulders. There is no darkness that the past rebellious life could ever try and bring up that the light of Christ can't outshine. And I'm good with that. If there's anything that I could stress to anybody is to pay attention to the moments that you are going through, and rather than look at it as a burden, look at it as a blessing and what you can learn from it. Not so much how is this damaging me, but how is this teaching me and preparing me for what God has in store. And even though the enemy may feed you full of lies and tell you you're worthless, and sometimes you may believe it, there is absolutely no shame in waking up every day, putting on the full armor of God, and realizing how far you have come. You just don't realize everything that trying to do it your own way takes from you versus trying to do it the way that God has planned for you. One thing that I do know is life with Christ is far better than doing it without Him.